What's going on, guys? Welcome to Everything Always. My name's Michael Roman. Today we got an awesome Avengers Endgame plot leak. I gotta say, this one is much better written than a lot of the ones that we've gotten recently. I'm going to go ahead and read the whole thing, break it down, offer my feedback and annotated notes where possible. Also, stick around to the end of the video. We're going to announce the winner of the PlayStation 4 Pro for the 100,000 subscriber mark. We're also just continuing to give away 2 PlayStations. So even though we're giving this one away, we just added another one to the pile. So if you could, grab the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment on the video, then hit the notification bell. And like I said, stick around for the end of the video to hear who wins that PS4 Pro. Now, like I said in the prelude, this one's actually pretty well written, and that's very much unlike a lot of those plot leaks we got at the end of last summer. If you remember, there was a 2 or 3 month stretch there where we received 5 to 6 plot leaks that all sounded like they were written by a 9-year-old. They were pretty hard to believe. They also grasped at some pretty amazing things with no logic to back any of them up. However, this one is pretty succinct, and like I said, I'm just going to read the whole thing. Please, as always, and I always say this before we do plot leaks, I know you guys really enjoy them and they're one of the more fun things to do with the channel, but please do not let this ruin your movie-going experience. Remember, at the heart, this is more likely fan fiction than it is an actual source, and while people have been right in the past, this is in no way confirmed to be what happens in Avengers Endgame. That being said, let's read this thing. Movie opens with Tony aboard the Benatar. Nebula and Tony share very little words at first until the dire of their situation forces them to confront one another. Tony is resolute that this is it and says it's better to die afraid than afraid and alone. Keyframes we're working on specifically is the ship approaching its destination. Though Tony and Nebula think the ship powers down to lack of fuel, it's actually auto-locked onto a target and powers down everything except what it needs to reach said auto-locked position. Because the Benatar is in need of immediate repair, it figures the immediate repair equipment required is with Rocket. Since the Benatar assumes Rocket is with the escape pod, it heads towards that destination, Nidavellir Lear. As Tony and Nebula drift towards the forge, still lit and circulating from Thor's jumpstart, they ask each other what this could be. Nebula says, "Whoever it is, it's better than death," to which Tony replies, "If they're not already dust." Tony greets Eitri with quip banter. Eitri asks, "Did he do it?" Tony says, "Yeah." Eitri says, "Then we have work to do." And Tony says, "We can start there," as the camera goes from background focus to foreground focus to reveal the Infinity Gauntlet mold that we all saw in Infinity War. Back on Earth, Rocket can't reach the ship. Thor tells him that the Bifrost can travel to save his friends and can travel to find the ship, but without Heimdall's eyes, he can't see where they are, and even if they are still alive. Meanwhile, what's left of the Avengers regroup at the mansion. Broken and confused, the world has fallen into complete decay as governments start to fall and the remaining half of the population falls into chaos. Rhodey sets out to keep the peace best he can with what's left of the American armed forces, and Widow and Cap are left alone in the mansion and begin to wonder what the best plan of action for the remaining Avengers are. After spitballing about what they could do to help rebuild the world, Cap says, "I don't want to rebuild this. I want to fix this. This wasn't the way this was supposed to happen." Cue Scott Lang at the front door, but he's not alone. He's brought the quantum tunnel and tells Black Widow and Cap that they need to listen. Rocket and Thor, who are still in the mansion, wander into the room and join the meeting. There's a funny interchange between Rocket and Scott, where Scott says, "It's funny, there was a time I totally would have freaked out at a talking raccoon. Now I talk to ants," to which Rocket just looks at him very confused and shakes his head. Scott says that there is a way to converse with Doctor Strange and that Strange desperately needs to speak with Thor. Thor and Rocket look confused at each other and then back at Scott and say, "What are we waiting for?" The 3 of them go to leave at once and all awkwardly pile into the front of the ex-con van. Rocket asks if he can drive, to which Ant-Man says no and please don't touch anything as Rocket goes to reach for one of the levers. Widow looks at Cap, now in the mansion alone, and tells him that if he wants to fix it, they can't fix it alone. They gotta find Barton. Thor, Ant-Man, and Rocket all arrive back at what looks like Pym's lab. Although not shown from the front, you can clearly see it's the same lab from the Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ant-Man says, "You guys need to wear these or you'll be torn in half." And Rocket and Thor both get handed gray Ghostbuster-looking suits before they board Ant-Man's small vessel and enter the quantum realm. Scott begins to explain how he got lost down here, how he began to hallucinate, and how it's easy to hallucinate when everything looks like a hallucination, and how when he finally found a building and stumbled upon it, he thought it was a mirage. His speech continues to drift off as they approach the same building which he stumbled upon. When they finally knock, Doctor Strange answers the door. Strange introduces himself and Thor says, "We've met," to which Strange just looks at him but says nothing. Strange goes on to explain that the only way to win in the wake of this apparent loss is to collect the Infinity Stones at the correct opportunities, from alternate realities as not to alter the timeline of their own, and to minimize the effect of this on the space-time continuum. He then goes on to explain that the only stone that won't work from another dimension is the Time Stone. Quick note, in the comics, it was actually the Reality Stone that wouldn't work in an alternate reality. This is the one detail from this plot leak that I liked. All right, let's keep going. Strange continues by saying that if Thanos is the opponent that he's proven to be thus far, that he will suspect this, and the heist must be pulled off simultaneously or else they risk tipping off Thanos. Ant-Man, still making jokes, says something along the lines of, "I guess I'll never be done stealing stuff." You don't get to hear what Rocket and Thor say as they're having a conversation, but they both have smiles on their faces as they joke through a look of determination. Meanwhile, back at the mansion, a ship lands. Banner, who had stayed behind in Wakanda, now lands in the ship flown by Shuri. When they exit the ship, you can tell something is different. Hulk, fully clothed, has the grace and movement of a human, and when he opens his voice to speak, you immediately hear almost all Banner. It is Professor Hulk now, and it is implied that Shuri has helped do this. And then he says, parentheses, "From my best guess, with the keyframes that we have, we never find out exactly what or how this has happened during the movie." They enter the Avengers facility to find Black Widow, Ronan, Captain America, Pepper Potts, Scott Lang, Thor, and Rocket. Everybody greets one another, and Thor explains that they have a job to do and that there is a chance that they can make this right. He explains when, why, where, how, and what they're supposed to do to collect the stones, where they must go in the quantum realm, and which teams are getting which stones. At the end, Banner says, "Wait, that's only 5 stones. What about the Time Stone?" To which Ant-Man replies, "Oh, right," and pulls the green Infinity Stone from his pocket. "I guess that's why he gave me this." Thor then tells Cap he needs him to come with him and reassign Rocket to Barton's team. Barton and Rocket instantly bond under the seriousness of the task at hand. Then Thor tells Captain America to hold on and Bifrost's out. Each team member is now dressed in the suits that Scott brought for them, and all of the remaining Avengers on Earth enter the quantum realm. Meanwhile, the Bifrost lands on Nidavellir to find Tony, Nebula, and Eitri waiting for them with a new Infinity Gauntlet. Tony says, "Well, he's not going to beat us this time." Thor replies, "Stark, now is no time at all." They Bifrost back to Earth, suit up, and enter the quantum realm with the new Infinity Gauntlet in hand. That's where this ends. Now, guys, I have to say, I really like some of the ideas that were in this plot leak. They were not just rehashes of all of the previous theories we've seen before. Now, there are some jumps around. It's obviously not the full plot. We don't get the ending at all. I do like the idea of Tony ending back up on Nidavellir. That's something that people were saying, but I like the idea of how they're getting there. I do like the idea that Professor Hulk becomes Professor Hulk with Shuri's help. I think that makes sense. I know we all saw Shuri on the list of people that were missing on the digital board during the Endgame trailer. However, I think we all know she's not. And I think she would be the one, because I think Tony's going to be too busy, and out of the 2 doctors left between the 2 of them, I think she would be the one to help get him in line. I mean, there's psychological precedent with what she helped do for Winter Soldier, right? Some of the other things that I really like about this: number one of the stones not working outside of its own reality. That is a direct pull from the comics. I really liked what the banter sounded like between the characters. Some of those lines did sound like what those characters would say. I think that the idea of the ship auto-locking on Nidavellir and heading back there is like, it actually makes perfect sense. However, with even the best optimism, I could still only say this sounds like fan fiction. There are so many things here that actually don't line up. I'm sure you can discern some of them for yourself. Plus, the leaker goes out of his way to explain why this is real. At the beginning, sounds a little bit too much like, "Thou doth protest too much. Why do you need us to know this is real so badly?" There have been so many leaks at this point. Also, this one did include some theories before, and of course, had this come out prior to the release of the first trailer, then it would hold so much more validity. But just including what we already know from the trailer is a trick that people use with their fan fiction and or fake leakers use in order to make it look like the rest of the things that they write are under context of something that you already know to be true. It is a trick that people use for sure. So again, do not let this ruin your movie experience. But of course, if you're still hanging around at this point in the video, it's because you want to hear who won the 100,000 subscriber giveaway PlayStation 4 Pro. I'm sure you all do. So let's go ahead and get into the giveaway. Who won the 100,000 subscriber PS4 Pro giveaway is Hockey Spees 15. That's Hockey SPEESE 15. Hockey Spees 15. You have won the PlayStation 4 Pro for the 100,000 subscriber mark. Please DM me on Instagram and or Twitter so that I can get your details and get that out to you. Guys, don't worry, we're still giving away 2 PlayStation 4 Pros. So if you didn't win this one, you got another chance to win at the 150,000 and the 200,000 subscriber mark. If you've been with me from the beginning, which a lot of you have, I cannot thank you enough. This was the quickest rise to 100,000 that I could have ever imagined. If you're just finding my channel for the first time, hit the subscribe button, leave a like and a comment on this video, then hit the notification bell, because the more videos that you like and comment on, the better chance you have of winning the PS4 Pros. My name's Michael Roman. This is Everything Always. Thanks for checking out the channel and stick around, guys. We'll be posting again real soon.